Welcome back to Rare Coins Shop. If you enjoy hidden treasures, you're in the right place. First, we're uncovering coins that could be worth way more than you think. New here? Like, subscribe, and let's dive in. We have something extraordinary to discuss, the legendary 1943 P5-cent coin, also known as the wartime nickel. If you're a serious collector or even a casual coin enthusiast, this coin has likely caught your eye before, but it's time to take a deeper dive into why this particular nickel is one of the most coveted and valuable coins in US history. Stick around, because by the end of this video, we'll reveal just how much this nickel could be worth today. To truly understand the worth of the 1943 P5-cent coin, we first need to look at the historical context behind its creation. In 1943, the United States was deeply involved in World War II, and the U.S. Mint was facing significant shortages of critical metals needed for coin production. At the time, coins were made primarily of copper, which was an essential resource for ammunition and other wartime materials. To conserve copper for the war effort, the U.S. Mint decided to make a major change to the composition of several coins, including the nickel.in 1943, instead of the typical 75% copper and 25% nickel composition. The 5-cent coin was struck using a mixture of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese. This new alloy was meant to preserve precious copper for wartime needs and keep the economy running smoothly. But here's the kicker: because of the unique blend of metals, the 1943 P5-cent coin became one of the most distinctive and highly valued nickels in the history of U.S. coinage. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1943 P5-cent coin so valuable? Well, the first answer lies in its rarity. While the U.S. Mint produced millions of these wartime nickels, the 1943 P stands out because it was minted in Philadelphia, where the alloy mixture was first introduced. A huge number of these coins were released into circulation, and over time, most of them were lost, worn out, or melted down. But what makes this coin special is not just its age but also the incredible condition of the coins that have survived. You see, finding a 1943 P5-cent coin in excellent condition is no small feat. Most coins that were in circulation during that time have been worn down from years of use, so it's a rare treat when you come across one that's still in near-perfect shape. But here's the part that really gets collectors excited: errors. Yes, errors. They can turn an already valuable coin into a priceless treasure. In the case of the 1943 P5-cent coin, the most significant error collectors look for is the steel mistake. You may have heard about the famous 1943 steel penny, which was mistakenly struck in steel due to wartime material shortages. Well, a similar thing happened with a small number of 1943 P5-cent coins. Some of these nickels were mistakenly struck in copper, the same material used for pennies before the mint changed the alloy for the nickel. These copper-struck wartime nickels are among the rarest and most valuable coins on the market, but how do you know if you've got one of these incredibly rare mistakes? Well, if you find a 1943 P nickel that is made from copper rather than the expected silver-colored alloy, it's a huge find. These coins were originally intended to be made from the wartime mix of silver and manganese, but a few slipped through the cracks, and they were made with copper, the same material used in other coins at the time. If you're lucky enough to own one of these copper-struck 1943 P nickels, you might be holding a fortune in your hands. As with any rare coin, condition is key. A well-preserved coin that has been kept in great shape can be worth a lot more than one that's been damaged or worn down. Collectors often seek out coins that are in mint or near mint condition, which can increase the coin's value dramatically. The more clean and detailed the coin is, the more attractive it becomes to buyers at auction, and the higher its potential value. But just how much can the 1943 P5-cent coin be worth? Well, let me tell you, the price tag for a high-quality, error-free, copper-struck wartime nickel can be mind-blowing. Some examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their condition. However, for the most perfect and rare examples, the value can go way beyond that, and here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. If you have a 1943 P5-cent coin that is either in pristine condition or features the rare copper-struck mint error, you could be looking at a value of $500,000. Yes, you heard that right, $500,000 for a single 1943 P wartime nickel. Imagine stumbling upon a coin that was once part of the war effort, blending history and rarity into something that could change your life financially. That's exactly what the 1943 P 5-cent coin represents, an opportunity to find a small piece of history that's not just interesting but potentially worth a small fortune. So, the next time you're looking through your coin collection or browsing through some old change, keep your eyes peeled for this incredible coin. If you find a 1943 P 5-cent coin in great shape, especially if it's a copper-struck wartime nickel, you could be holding onto an absolute treasure. Second rare coin, we're putting the spotlight on a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket change or hiding in an old jar of coins at home, the 1964 D Jefferson 5 cents coin. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A 1964 nickel? That sounds pretty common. And you're right. At first glance, the 1964 D Jefferson nickel might not seem like anything extraordinary. In fact, it's one of the most widely minted nickels in U.S. history. But here's the twist, some versions of this coin are extremely rare, and if you happen to own the right one, it could be worth an absolute fortune. Let's go back in time to understand why this particular year, and mint mark, is so significant. The year was 1964, and the U.S. Mint was facing a serious coin shortage. People were hoarding coins due to rising silver prices, especially dimes, quarters, and half dollars, which were still made of silver at that time. To meet the increasing demand for circulating coinage, the mint ramped up production like never before. In Denver alone, more than 1.7 billion 5-cent coins were produced, yes, billion, with a B. That's a huge number, and that's part of what makes the 1964 D Jefferson nickel so interesting, because so many were minted, most of them aren't rare at all. They're incredibly common in circulation even today. But here's where the story gets good, hidden among those billions of coins are a tiny number of extraordinary varieties and rare mint errors that make collectors go wild. One of the most famous features to look out for is a full steps designation. If you're new to coin collecting, let me explain. On the reverse side of the Jefferson nickel is Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's famous home. At the base of the building, there are a series of steps. On most circulated nickels, these steps are worn down or poorly struck due to weak minting techniques. But if you find a 1964 D nickel where all 5 or 6 steps are clearly visible and uninterrupted, you've got a coin that is considered to be a full steps Jefferson nickel, and these are incredibly rare from that year. That's because the Denver Mint, while producing in massive quantities, didn't always deliver the sharpest strikes. The dies were used past their prime, and quality control wasn't exactly a priority. That means most of the nickels came out soft, with details missing, especially those all-important steps. So a full steps 1964 D nickel is not just a collector's dream, it's a needle in a haystack. Now let's talk about mint errors, the true wildcards in the world of numismatics. Coins that were misstruck, double-struck, or made with the wrong metal planchets are incredibly valuable. And yes, there are known examples of the 1964 D nickel that were struck on incorrect planchets, such as dime planchets, foreign coin blanks, or even coins with off-center strikes and die clashes. These rare production mistakes turn an ordinary 5-cent piece into a one-of-a-kind collectible that could fetch tens of thousands at auction. Another detail to watch for is the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. This happens when the D mint mark, which stands for the Denver Mint, was punched more than once in slightly different positions. These kinds of small differences may seem insignificant, but they're exactly the type of rarity that gets coin collectors, and serious buyers, very excited. So, how do you know if you've got one of these valuable nickels in your possession? First, take a good look at the condition. Coins that have been handled less, show little to no wear, and maintain their original luster are considered to be in uncirculated or mint state condition, and that alone can dramatically increase their value. Then, zoom in on Monticello. Can you see all the steps? Are they crisp and clear? If so, you might have a full steps coin. And finally, check for those subtle mint errors, double dies, repunched mint marks, or planchet mistakes. but here's the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1964 Jefferson 5-cent coin that's in top-tier mint condition, with full steps and possibly even a rare mint error, then you're holding something that goes far beyond face value. One of these rare coins has been known to sell at auction for a jaw-dropping $250,000. Yes, you heard that right, $250,000 for a nickel. That's the kind of discovery that can change your life, and it might be sitting quietly in your coin collection right now. So next time you're sorting through your change, or digging through that old coin jar in the closet, keep your eyes peeled for the 1964 Jefferson nickel. Look for those sharp steps on Monticello, inspect the mint mark, and don't dismiss that little coin too quickly, it might just be worth a fortune. Third expensive coin, we're focusing on a small but mighty coin that's been slipping under the radar for years, the 1975 Jefferson 5-cent coin. Now you might be thinking, it's just a nickel from the 70s, how special could it really be? Well, buckle up, because the story behind this coin is much more exciting than you'd expect. This isn't just any ordinary piece of change. The 1975 nickel holds hidden value, mysterious mint errors, and a fascinating place in numismatic circles. And by the end of this video, you'll find out why this coin could be worth a small fortune. Let's start with a little history. The year 1975 was an interesting time in America. The Vietnam War had officially ended, the country was recovering from political upheaval, and the U.S. Mint was churning out millions of coins to meet economic demands. The Denver Mint, marked with a small d just to the right of Monticello on the back of the coin, was one of the busiest mints in the nation. It produced millions of Jefferson nickels that year, so, understandably, most people wouldn't give a 1975 nickel a second thought. But here's where things get interesting. Out of the massive number of 1975 nickels minted, only a tiny handful were struck with such precision, or with rare minting errors, that they became treasures in the eyes of collectors. One of the most sought-after characteristics among collectors is the full steps variety. If you're new to coin collecting, let me break it down. On the reverse side of the nickel, right below Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's famous home, there's a set of steps. On most nickels, these steps are worn down, incomplete, or weakly struck. But in rare cases, you'll find a coin where all 5 or 6 steps are sharp, clean, and fully visible. This is known as full steps, and it instantly increases a coin's value. Why? Because full steps nickels are hard to come by, especially from years like 1975 when the dies were often reused well past their optimal condition, resulting in weaker images on the coins. So, a 1975 nickel with sharp details and full steps is not just rare, it's a true gem, and we're just getting started. Beyond full steps, there are also mint errors to look out for. Every once in a while, a coin makes it out of the mint with an error, maybe it was struck off center, double struck, or produced with a misaligned die. Some 1975 nickels are known to have such errors, and when paired with an uncirculated, pristine condition, that combination can send the value skyrocketing. Let's not forget the role that condition plays here. Most nickels from 1975 that you'll find in pocket change or in circulation today have seen years, decades, of wear and tear. They've passed through countless hands, sat in drawers, maybe even took a spin through a washing machine. But if you happen to find a 1975 nickel that has been kept in mint state condition, with no significant scratches, marks, or signs of wear, and especially if it has full steps or a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a coin that's far more than just 5 cents. Now, let's talk about how to spot a potentially valuable 1975 nickel. First, flip the coin over and inspect Monticello. Can you count all the steps at the base? Are they clean and clear? If so, you might be looking at a full steps variety. Next, check for anything unusual. Look at the edges, the lettering, the placement of the date, and that small D mint mark. If anything seems off, don't overlook it, it might be a minting error. Even slight variations or imperfections could mean your coin is worth thousands. Of course, having the coin graded professionally by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC can give you a clearer picture of its true value. A coin that's certified as mint state, MS 65 or higher, with full steps and a minting anomaly, is the kind of piece that makes collectors open their wallets wide at auctions. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to own a 1975 D Jefferson 5-cent coin that is in exceptional condition, displays full steps, or features a rare minting error, then get ready, because your little nickel could be worth an astounding $99,000. Yes, you heard that right, $99,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. That's the thrill of coin collecting. That's the magic of numismatics. What looks ordinary to the world could be priceless to someone who knows what to look for. So, the next time you're sorting through spare change, digging through an old drawer, or flipping through your coin collection, don't ignore that 1975 D nickel. Look closely, inspect every detail, and you might just discover a hidden treasure. Last unique coin, let's talk about the 1971 D Jefferson 5-cent coin, a simple US nickel with a story that might just surprise you. At first glance, the 1971 D nickel doesn't look like anything special. It's a coin that many of us have handled 1,000 times. Minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the little d just to the right of Monticello on the reverse side, this nickel was struck in massive numbers, over 315 million of them, to be exact. So how could something so common hold such incredible value? Well, here's where things get interesting. The truth is, not all coins are created equal. Even in a year of high production like 1971, certain nickels came off the presses with unusual precision, rare mint errors, or pristine condition that sets them apart from the rest. And these are the coins that collectors dream about. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel design has been in use since 1938, and while changes have been made over the years, the core imagery has remained. On the front, we see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. On the back, his historic Virginia home, Monticello, sits proudly in the center. But it's the tiny details in this design that can make a world of difference when it comes to value. One of the key features collectors hunt for is what's known as the full steps designation. This refers to the steps at the base of Monticello. Most nickels, even freshly minted ones, have weak or incomplete steps due to overused dies or weak strikes. But once in a while, a coin is struck so perfectly that every step is fully visible and separated. These are known as full steps Jefferson nickels, and they are incredibly rare for the 1971 D issue. Why is this important? Because a 1971 D nickel with full steps is so uncommon that it becomes instantly valuable to collectors, especially those who specialize in Jefferson nickels. It's like finding a flawless diamond among thousands of pebbles, but that's not all. There are also mint errors that can make the 1971 D nickel even more desirable. Imagine finding a coin with a double strike, an off-center strike, or even a clipped planchet, where a piece of the coin is literally missing due to a mishap during the minting process. These kinds of errors are like gold in the coin collecting world. They turn an everyday coin into a one-of-a-kind piece, especially if the rest of the coin is in exceptional condition. And let's talk condition. For a 1971 D nickel to bring serious money, it needs to be in mint state. That means no scratches, no nicks, no signs of wear. Just sharp, clean detail and original luster, exactly the way it came from the mint more than 5 decades ago. Combine that with a rare mint error or a full steps designation, and suddenly, your humble 5-cent coin becomes the centerpiece of an elite collection. Now, here's the kicker: most people would never think to look. This coin is still so common in circulation that it can be easy to overlook. But that's what makes the hunt so thrilling. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one of these rare coins without even realizing it. It could be in your change from the store. It could be in a jar of coins passed down through your family. It could be sitting in your collection right now, just waiting to be discovered. So how do you know if your 1971 D nickel is one of the valuable ones? Start by looking for that D mint mark. Then flip it over and check the steps on Monticello. Can you see 5 or 6 distinct steps with no breaks? That's a good sign. Next, look for any unusual features, misaligned edges, doubling in the lettering, or anything that seems out of place. And finally, check the condition. If it looks almost brand new, you might be holding something special, and now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to have a 1971 D Jefferson 5-cent coin that is in mint state condition, features full steps, or has a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a coin valued at a stunning $120,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $120,000 for a 5-cent coin. That's the kind of surprise that can change your life, all from something that most people would simply pass over without a second thought. So, the next time you go through your change, or explore that old coin collection in the attic, keep an eye out for the 1971 D nickel. It might not just be a piece of American history, it could be your ticket to an incredible discovery. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into hidden coin treasures, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next exciting episode. Got any cool coin finds? Share your stories in the comments. We love hearing from fellow treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.